Here is the rule for multiplying two numbers. To multiply two numbers, we're going to follow the rule. If the two numbers have the same sign, guess what the answer is? Positive. And if there are different signs, yep, doesn't matter which one's bigger, which one's smaller. So when you're multiplying, if the two numbers have the same sign, the result is positive. If the two numbers have different signs, the result is negative. So what is minus 2 times a minus 1? By the way, if you don't see a multiplication, you see parentheses, that means multiplications. Sometimes we'll put the dot, sometimes I don't put the dot. Are these numbers the same sign? Mm-hmm. The result is positive. What is 2 times 1? 2. Now I don't put the plus, that's just a 2. Trying to mix different looks at you. That means what? Negative 8 times negative 4. That's what it means. I didn't put the parentheses intentionally. Negative 8 times the negative 4. You're multiplying the same sign. The result will be what? Positive. What's 8 times 4? 32, so the answer is 32. We don't put the plus. Negative 10. Different signs, you multiply them. 5 times 2, 10, and the result is negative. Five times a negative 10. Try again. Negative 50. Different signs, the result is negative. 5 times 10, 50. Let's see if you remember some of the stuff. Negative 7, the whole thing squared. What is it? 49. I got negative 49, I got 49. One is right, one is wrong.
It's 49.
What does that mean when something is square?
Same.
Multiply it by itself, right? So negative 7 times a negative 7. Do these two numbers have the same sign?
Mm-hmm.
The result is positive. 7 times 7, 49. How about that one?
Negative 49.
Why?
Because it's not inside the bracket.
This one actually, here's the minus sign in the front, and only the 7 is the squared. And what is 7 squared?
49.
It's 7 times 7, right? So when you see the parentheses, that's the whole thing squared, including the minus sign. When there is no parentheses, just the 7 is being squared. So 7 times 7, 49, there's a minus sign in the front. That's a negative 49. If you have a decent calculator and you write that in it, it should give you negative 49. Clear? Let's try that. Negative 7, can you see it? The power, or squared, equals, should be negative 49. Yep. Now on the other hand, if I write parentheses, negative 7, square that, it should give me positive 49. Because the calculator knows the first one only the 7 is being squared, where the second one is the negative 7, the whole thing. What's a minus 1 squared?
One.
It's negative 1 times a negative 1, which is what? Positive 1. What's a minus 1 squared?
Negative
Here's the minus in the front. What is 1 squared? That's 1 times 1.
1.
That's a negative 1. Now I know you're going to love these. What is 2 1/5 times, let's take you back to chapter 2, negative 5. Well, usually when I see that, I go, okay, is my answer going to be positive or negative?
Negative.
Notice the signs are different. The result better be what? Negative. So let me put the negative sign. And now I don't pay attention to the sign. I go, how would I multiply 2 1/5 times 5? I know the answer is going to be minus. I already put it there. But how would I multiply these two values, the absolute values now? Well, I can change this one to 5 times 2. 10 and 1, that's 11 over 5. Times, and I can make that number what? 5 over 1. Does anything cancel? You end up with what? 11 over 1, which is what? 11 over 1, I wrote 5. 11 over 1, which is what? 11, so the answer is going to be negative 11. So I took care of the sign first, and I said, let me just multiply the numbers the way we learned in chapter 2. And if these were decimal values, I do the same thing. If that was negative 1.4 times a negative 0.6, negative times negative, the result is what? Positive. Same sign, the result is always positive. So let me go to the side, 1.4 times 0.6. Six times 4. 24. 4 carry 2. 6 times 1. 6 and 2. 8. Now, how many digits we have to the right of the decimal point here? 1. And how many we have here? 1. When you add them, that's what? 2. Start from here. Move your decimal place. How many? Twice. 2 places. So what's my answer going to be? 0.84. Now, do I need to write the plus sign? No.
No.
or you can put the 0.84, but you don't need the plus sign. Same sign will give you a positive result, different signs, negative result. Again, what happens if I have a chain of them? Like more than two, that's what I mean by chain. 8 times and negative 2 times and negative 3. Let's grab the first two. 8 times a negative 2. Different signs, the result is what?
Negative.
Negative. 8 times 2, 16. These two numbers have the same sign. Same sign give me what? Positive answer. 3 times 16?
48.
48. So what's my answer? 48. We don't put the plus sign. By the way, if you're not sure if your answer is going to be positive or negative, count how many minus signs do you have there, negative signs. If you have an even number, of minus signs, the result will be a positive number. If you have an odd number of negative signs, the result is going to be negative. That's a shortcut. So when I look at the whole problem here, it doesn't matter if I'm doing 2 or 3 or 4. If I'm doing 4, that's an odd number. The result is negative. When I'm multiplying these two, that's an even number. There's 2 negative signs. That's even. The result is positive. So I can look at the number and tell you if the answer is going to be positive or negative without having to multiply it out. Notice my answer, I know it's going to be negative. So how'd you know? Well, count how many negative numbers you have there. 3, is that an even or odd? Odd. Odd will give me a result of negative. What's 8 times 2? 16 times 3? 48. Now, if we did it slowly, this is an even number. If you forget the rules, just think of odd and even. Even number of negative signs. The result for these two should be what? Positive 16 times a negative 3. Even or odd negative signs? Odd. 16 times 3? 48. You're multiplying here. We're going to switch the sign because that's a multiplication. Well, that's what multiplication is about. Division is the same as multiplication, the same rules. Same sign, the result is positive. Different signs, the result is negative. So dividing here, sign numbers. Same rule. Same sign. We're talking about 2 at a time. The result is what? Positive. We'll say when you're multiplying 2 numbers, so you know. We're dividing here. Different signs. The result is negative. What's negative 16 divided by negative 8? Are they the same sign? Again, you can use even odd too, it's still correct here. That'll be a plus 2. Even number of negative signs should be a positive. 16 over 8, which is 2. Negative 24 divided by negative 2. Is that the same sign? Positive. Positive what? 12. Negative 8 over 16. Positive or negative? Negative. Can we simplify 8 over 16? What's 8 into 16?
2.
The other way. 8.
2.
How about a half? 8 on the top, 16 on the bottom. You can't divide them. That's half of that number if you simplify it. By 8, this is 1. By 8, this is 2. What is 9 over negative 15? Positive or negative? Negative. 9 over 15. Can I simplify 9 over 15? 3, 5. That's negative 3 over 5. Minus negative 25 over negative 5. What'd you get?
Negative 5.
Yep. Notice that minus sign sitting in the front. Leave it alone. Let's look at the rest of this. Negative divided by negative, positive. What's 25 over 5? An odd number of minus signs will give you the result of negative. See that? An even number of negative sign gives you a result of positive, just like multiplications. We should know a few things about division here. Our book is not saying them. Just remember, 0 divided by 5 is what? 0. 0 divided by negative 7. 0. I'll go to the next page. The book doesn't talk about these, but just refresher there. What's 7 divided by 0?
7.
Try again.
0.
Try again.
Negative 7.
Try again.
0.7.
Does not exist. Very good. Can't divide by 0. 0 on the bottom is a problem. Negative 3 divided by 0. Does not exist. 5 over 5.
1.
5 over negative 5.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. 7 over 7.
1.
Negative 10 over negative 10.
100.
Negative 10 over negative 10. Try again.
Positive
1. Yep. Negative over negative, positive. 10 over 10 is 1. 0 over 0. Try again. I heard 0. I said try again.
1. Does not exist.
Does not exist. Can't have 0 on the bottom. Doesn't matter what the top is. Does not exist. Can't divide by 0. So if you see these, you got to be careful with them. Couple more things, then we're done. How about this problem? Negative 10 plus negative 8 divided by negative 2. Uh-oh. We got addition and what? And division. Yep.
Order of operations.
Order of operations, exactly. And what's the order of operations?
Parentheses. Exponent.
Pam does, right?
Yeah.
You got to do multiplication and division before you can do addition and subtractions. So I got to do this one first. Same sign when you're dividing, same sign, the result is what? Positive. 8 divided by 2, which is what? 4. So the answer to this is 4. Let me bring the rest of the problem. There's the plus sign. There's a negative 10. Let's go back to section 2 now. You adding different signs. So what was the rule for addition? If they have different signs, what do?
You add the absolute values and take the sign of the larger number.
Almost.
Subtract the lesser number from the.
Subtract, the absolute value of the lesser number from the larger. So 4 from 10.
Negative 6.
6 and the sign of the larger absolute value, so negative 6. Yep.
Zero.
I don't know. Could be. Let's look at this. Got to do the division first. What's a negative divided by a negative? Positive what? 6. There's the minus. There's the 6. We take the subtraction. We change it to addition. And we take the opposite of that number. Yep. Another way of looking at it, you get $6. You lose 6. What do you have left? 0. So these are